Hi, welcome to Lanas Jovillos. My name is Alba, and in this tutorial I will show you how to knit this dress for a baby. In this case the pattern is for a newborn baby, but you can find other sizes in our website. Let's go with the step by step. We need 4mm yarn, 4mm circular needles. If you want, you can use straight needles, but it's easier to make it with circular needles. 4 markers, 3 buttons, a needle, a 3.5mm hook and scissors. We have to cast on 66 stitches. We make a slip knot, and you can use the way to cast on that you prefer. Once we have all the stitches, we have to make 3 rows with the seat stitch. Remember how to make the seat stitch. We have to knit 1, and purl 1. Knit 1, and purl 1. And repeat knit, purl to the end of the row. Once we have the first row with the seat stitch, now I show you how to make the second row. Take the edge stitch, and remember, where we find like a knot under the needle, we have to make a knit stitch. And where we find like a V under the needle, we have to purl. And we repeat the same, knit 1 and purl 1. Knit 1 and purl 1. And repeat knit and purl to the end of the row, and we make another row with the seat stitch. We will have 3 rows with the seat stitch. Once we have the 3 rows with the seat stitch, we are going to start with the increases of the Raglan sleeves. Now we have to work the stockinette stitch. We take the edge stitch, and we have to knit 8 stitches. Counting the first stitch, we have to knit 9 stitches. Once we have 9 stitches on the right needle, we have to yarn over. Remember how to make the yarn over. Knit 1, and we have to place a marker on this stitch to mark the center of the Raglan sleeve. We have yarn over, knit 1, and now we have to yarn over again. And we are going to knit 14 stitches, 14 knit stitches. Once we have the 14 stitches, we have to repeat again the increase of the Raglan sleeve. We have to yarn over, knit 1, place a marker on this stitch, on the knit 1 stitch, yarn over again, continue with 16 knit stitch, 16 knit stitch, once we have the 16 stitches, we repeat the increase, yarn over, knit 1, place a marker on the knit 1 stitch, and yarn over again. 14 knit stitches, 14 knit stitches. Once we made the 14 stitches, increase again, yarn over, knit 1, place a marker on the knit 1 stitch. We have 4 markers on the dress, yarn over again, and we knit all the stitches that we have on the left needle. And we finished the first row with increases of the sleeves. Now we have to make the row in the wrong side. We have to take the edge stitch, purl to find 1 yarn over. We have to purl all the stitches to find the first yarn over. Here you can see the yarn over. On the next stitch of the other side we have the marker. We have to purl the yarn over, but taking the back loop. We have to purl from the back to the front. Purl the stitch of the marker, and purl the yarn over, remember taking the back loop from the back to the front. We have to continue with purl stitches to find another yarn over. Here you can see another yarn over. Remember, you have to purl the yarn over but taking the back loop. Purl the stitch of the marker and purl the yarn over. Remember taking the back loop from the back to the front. And repeat the same to the end of the row. Remember that we have 8 yarn overs. Once we made the row on the wrong side, now we have to make the row in the right side. There is where we have to make the increases. Take the edge stitch and knit all the stitches to the stitch of the marker. Knit a stitch to the stitch of the marker. Here you can see the stitch of the marker, and we have to make yarn over, knit the stitch of the marker, and yarn over again. We have yarn over the stitch of the marker in the middle and yarn over again. We have to continue with knit a stitch to the next marker. Here you can see the next marker, so yarn over before the stitch, knit the stitch of the marker and yarn over again. Continue with knit a stitch to the next marker. Once we are again at the stitch of the stitch marker, we have to yarn over, knit this stitch and yarn over again, and continue with knit stitch to the other marker, and repeat on the next marker the same: yarn over, knit the stitch of the marker, yarn over again, and finish this row with knit stitch. Now repeat the row in the wrong side. We have to take the stitch of the edge, purl to find the first yarn over, here you can see the yarn over. Remember that we have to purl the yarn over taking the back loop from the back to the front, purl the stitch in the middle, and purl the yarn over, remember taking the back loop. And repeat the same to the end of the row. Remember the yarn over, we have to purl the yarn over taking the back loop. I show you one more time how to make the increases of the Raglan sleeves. We have to knit to the first stitch marker to the first stitch of the marker, here you can see this stitch is the stitch where we have the marker, so yarn over, knit this stitch, yarn over again, and continue with knit a stitch to the next marker. Before the stitch of the marker, so yarn over, knit the stitch of the marker and yarn over again. We are going to continue making increases. Remember, is yarn over, knit the stitch of the marker and yarn over again, knit to the next marker, yarn over, knit one and yarn over, and we repeat the increases to have 20 rows of the Raglan sleeves. Remember, on the wrong side you have to purl all the stitches and purl the yarn overs taking the back loops. Once we have the 20 rows, we have to remove the markers, and now we are going to separate the sleeves of the front and the back part. This is the back part, this is the right sleeve, this is the left sleeve, and this part is the front part. We start in one of the half parts of the back part, take the edge stitch and knit all the stitches to the stitch in the middle of the Raglan sleeve. Once we are at the first corner of the Raglan sleeve, we are going to work the seat stitch to the next corner of the Raglan sleeve. From here to here we work the seat stitch. We have to stop making the seat stitch one stitch before of the stitch of the middle of the Raglan. Remember, the seat stitch is one knit stitch, and the next stitch purl stitch. One knit, one purl. Remember, continue with the seat stitch to the next corner of the raglan. Now we finish the first row of the seat stitch. We turn and we are going to knit 7 more rows on the sleeve, making the seat stitch. On the left needle we have the sleeve that we are making, one of the back parts of the dress. So continue making the seat stitch. We take the stitch off the edge and make the seat stitch. Here one knit, continue with one purl, one knit, one purl, and repeat to the next corner of the raglan. Repeat the seat stitch on the seat stitch of the previous row. Once we finish this row with seat stitch, we turn again. On the right needle we have the back part, the first back part that we made, and continue making 6 more rows with seat stitch to have 8 rows with the seat stitch. Making the seat stitch, we are making the edge of the sleeve. You can see now the separation of the seat stitch and the back part, and on the other side the same. Once we have the 8 rows with the seat stitch, now we have to bind off. Remember how to bind off. We have to make the first stitch, make the second stitch, and pass the first stitch over the second stitch. And repeat the same. Make the next stitch and pass the first stitch over the second stitch. And this is the way that we have to bind off all the stitches of the sleeve. Once we bind off all the stitches of the sleeve, we have to cut the yarn and leave a long tail to sew. We have in one part one of the halves of the back part, and on the other side of the needle we have the front part, the other sleeve, and the last back part. Now we continue knitting on the front part. We have to take the yarn and make knit stitches to the next raglan, to the next corner of the raglan. And now we have to repeat the same that we made with the first sleeve, but with the second sleeve. So we make the seat stitch for 8 rows, seat stitch on the next 8 rows. Remember, we have to make the seat stitch to the first raglan, to the first corner of the raglan. Remember, one knit, one purl, one knit, one purl. Once we have the first row of the seat stitch, we turn and continue making the seat stitch again. Remember, to the first corner of the raglan. Remember, 8 rows with the seat stitch. Once we finished the second sleeve, we have to complete the row of the dress, finishing the other half of the back part. So take again the yarn and complete this row with one knit stitch in all the stitches of the left needle. Once we have both the sleeves finished, we have to join the part of the body of the dress. We start on one of the halves of the back part, we join with the front part and finish with the other half of the back part. And we have to make 8 rows with the seat stitch in all the parts of the body. Start with the seat stitch. So make the seat stitch to arrive at the join of the two parts of the dress. Here we have the last stitch of the back part. Now we have to make the first stitch of the front part. Try to pull the yarn to avoid holes. And continue making the seat stitch on the front part. So make the seat stitch to arrive at the next joint. We make the last stitch of the front part. Remember, try to pull the yarn to avoid holes and continue with the first stitch of the last back part of the dress. Remember, make the seat stitch to the end of this row. And once we finish this row, we have joined the 3 parts of the body of the dress. Here you can see the sleeves in one part and the body joined. Continue with the next row of the seat stitch. And remember, we have to make 8 rows with the seat stitch. We have to make this one and 6 more rows with the seat stitch. Now with all the body joined. Once we have the 8 rows of the seat stitch, now we are going to work in the round. We make now knit stitch in all the stitches. We have to knit all the stitches of this row. If you want to use straight needles, you have to make 1 row with purl stitch and 1 row with knit stitch, making the stockinette stitch. It's very important to make the stockinette stitch. And you only have to follow the same instructions that I will say. But let's see how to work now in the round. We finish this row. Now I am going to place a marker after this row to know where is the beginning of each row. And now we continue with knit stitch with the stitches that we have on the left needle, and we make another row with knit stitches. We have to stop knitting once we find the marker again. We change the marker, and in this row we are going to make 6 stitches, 6 knit stitches, and then we make 1 increase. Let's make the 6 stitches. And here we have to make the increase. How we make the increase? We take the yarn between the 2 stitches, this piece of yarn, and place it on the left needle. You see, this piece of yarn, we place it on the left needle and knit it taking the back loop. We take the back loop of the yarn. So we have 6 stitches and now 1 increase, and we repeat the same again. 6 knit stitches, and we make another increase. We take the yarn between the 2 stitches, place it on the left needle, and knit this stitch taking the back loop. And we repeat 6 stitches and 1 increase to the end of the row. 6 stitches and here 1 increase. Once we have the first row with increases, we change the marker, and in this row we are going to make all the row with knit stitch. We don't make increases in this row. Now we are going to make the row number 5 of the skirt. And in this row we are going to make increases again. In this case we make 7 knit stitches, and here we make 1 increase. Repeat again, 7 knit stitches, and here 1 increase. And repeat the same to the end of the row. Once we finish the row with 7 stitches, 7 knit stitches and 1 increase, now we are going to make 4 rows without increases. 4 rows making the knit stitch. So the rows 6, 7, 8 and 9, 1 knit stitch around. On the row number 10 we make 8 stitches and 1 increase, 8 knit stitches and 1 increase, and repeat the same to the end of the row. We continue making 4 more rows of 1 knit stitch around, so from the rows 11 to the row 14 we make 1 knit stitch around. On the row number 15 we make 9 stitches and 1 increase. From the row 16 to the row 19 we make 1 knit stitch around. On the row number 20 we make 10 knit stitches and 1 increase. From the 21 to the 24 1 knit stitch around without increases. On the row number 25 we make 11 stitches and 1 increase, 11 stitches and 1 increase, repeating around. From the 26 to the 29 we make 1 knit stitch around. On the row number 30 we make 12 stitches and 1 increase, repeating around. From the 31 to the 34 we make 1 knit stitch around. And we have to finish the dress with 8 rows with the seat stitch. To make the seat stitch with the circular needles we make the same: 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl. And repeat 1 knit, 1 purl to arrive again at the marker. Once we arrive again at the first stitch, we make the seat stitch. Remember, where we find a V, we make purl stitch. Where we find a knot, we have to knit a stitch. Knit, purl, and repeat the seat stitch to have 8 rows. Once we finish the seat stitch, the 8 rows with the seat stitch, we have to bind off all the stitches. Here you can see that all the stitches are closed and we only have to loose this strand between the stitches. Now we only have to sew the sleeves and make the buttonholes on the back part. To sew the sleeves, it's very easy. You only have to take a needle and sew both parts of the sleeves together to close the space. In this case, I'm going to place 3 buttons. Sew the buttons in the place where you want them. Once we have the 3 buttons, we have to take a crochet hook and make 1 single crochet on each stitch from the top part, from the top of from the first button. We make 1 single crochet to the part where we started working on the round. We continue making single crochet on the other side of the back part. We are going to make the buttonholes in the place where we have on the other side the buttons. So we chain 1, turn and make stitches, make single crochet to the place where we have the button and make chain 10. We make 1 slip stitch to close the buttonhole. And continue making single crochet to the other space where we have the button. Repeat again, chain 10 and close again with 1 slip stitch. And continue making single crochet to the third place where we have the button, chain 10 again, make a slip stitch, and we can fasten off. And the dress has to look like that.